everybody, my name is 4D Clif, and I am back for a brand new video. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's get into this. So before we officially start with the video itself, I want to actually go over a few things, okay? So first off is this, alright? I finally got me a Switch 2. Now, if you're clicking on the video and stuff like that and wondering like, well, wait a minute, this is a One Piece video, why are you talking about Switch 2, alright? Well, I basically mentioned in one of my Nintendo videos and stuff like that I was really interested in doing a Princess Daisy and Shy Guy connection video, but I wanted to actually wait until I officially got Mario Kart World to really dive into that. So now that I got me a Switch 2, I'll probably be able to actually get around to doing that. I'm still getting in the middle of like getting actual gameplay and stuff like that and trying to get used to the whole game itself. I'm having a little difficult time trying to really get used to the whole rail grinding and wall grinding. I'm getting better at it, but as long as I just keep practicing at it, eventually I'll be able to get to it, okay? Alright, now that we got that out of the way, let's really discuss the actual topic of the video itself, okay? What are we going to be discussing about in this video, right? So, the contents of what I want to discuss here is the idea of, say like for instance, right? If Oda is going to utilize the character of Davy Jones, right? You know, Davy Jones' locker, that kind of situation, for his whole story in the One Piece world, could we assume the possibility that we might see another character who is similar to Davy Jones, right? And if you're not familiar who this character is, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame you, right? Because I didn't even know who this character was, right? I only came across her by chance, which was really how it is, right? I really came across her by chance, okay? And this character's name is called Mother Carey, okay? Now, just to be very clear here, no, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be talking about the mother of Drew Carey, and that also goes for the mother of Jim Carey, okay? So I do apologize for that, but those aren't the mothers we're going to be talking about, okay? No, Mother Carey is basically a supernatural figure from like a myth, right? Same in the same vein as like Davy Jones himself, right? And even though in most cases she's really one of those situations that is basically listed, but you still don't really know the identification of her, okay? So let's just basically go over every single thing step by step, and we'll really get into the idea of it, okay? Alright. So Mother Carey is a supernatural figure personifying the cruel and threatening the seas. In the imagination of the 18th and 19th century English-speaking sailors, she's an entity who is a harbinger of storms and a similar character to Davy Jones, who may have been her husband. So let's start off with that, right? Let's start off with this. If it's basically stating that she is possibly the wife of Davy Jones, and we're going to probably assume that they're referring to Davy Jones from Davy Jones' locker, even though it just says Davy Jones, but we're going to necessarily assume that this is the exact same Davy Jones and the concept of Davy Jones' locker, okay? Could Oda take the route of actually having Mother Carey be the wife of someone in the Davy Clan, right? And there are only two distinct characters that we can really look at, okay? Could we assume the possibility is that she was the wife of the original Davy D Jones, right? And that's one concept to really throw in here. It's like that. It's like the main difference between the Davy Jones is that our Davy Jones is just Davy Jones. But in the One Piece world, it's Davy D Jones, right? That's how you know it's serious, right? When you got a D in your name, when you got the D in your name, you know for sure that it's serious, right? Then you have the other possibility of Rox D Zebek, which has been officially revealed that his name is actually Davy D Zebek, and that he's a descendant of the Davy Clan. And vice versa, if his wife's name is Carey, and she would obviously be the mother of Blackbeard, since Blackbeard has been basically proven to be stated that he is the son of Rox D Zebek. Rox is the father, and if, say, the mother's name is Carey, then that might be a good indication. Now, just to be very clear here on the matter, I don't necessarily think that Blackbeard's mother is actually the right representation of the actual character who should represent Mother Carey in a very significant way, okay? That's no insult to anything, I just don't think it's necessarily her, right? And I could be wrong on this, and who knows, like, she could probably still be named Carey, that could probably still be a good indication, but I don't think alone she'd actually qualify for anything just yet, okay? As in, I feel like there's more things to look at just on the name alone, right? So, in most cases, if I really wanted to suggest something, I would have to argue and suggest that maybe Mother Carey should be more towards, like, the original Davy D Jones, rather than the wife of Rox D Zebek himself, right? That's just my implication on it, but we'll have to really get into more concept here to really get into the whole general concept, okay? So, let's continue on with another thing, right? So, speaking on the name Mother Carey, let's actually talk about the name itself and how it basically is viewed and what it means, okay? And what it can actually represent, alright? So, her name seems to be derived from the Latin expression Mater Cara, which means precious mother. I do apologize if I mispronounce some of these translations and words. I do apologize for that. I'm not trying to do that on purpose, but just to ensure that everyone understands that I do apologize, okay? Which sometimes refers to the Virgin Mary. Let's look at that, okay? So, Mother Carey, alright? When looking at her name and getting an idea of it like that, it is almost a very good representation of what can also refer to the Virgin Mary, right? And the fact that it means precious mother, okay? we know for a fact that when we look at, say, like Mary Joie, right, which is most likely stated that Oda utilized the name Mary Joie and stuff like that off of Mary herself, right? You know, Mary as in the Virgin Mary, right? You know, the mother of Jesus, okay? As in one implication on the whole Holy Land and itself, okay? So, and when looking at the concept here of the Holy Land, Mary Joie, you know, the celestial dragons, one concept of character that we have to look at is Emu, okay? Now, Emu himself obviously is a very essential figure with a very mysterious foreshadowing like that, but at the same time also a mysterious past that a lot of people would really like to know what exactly makes Emu tick, right? What exactly is getting underneath his cloak, okay, or her cloak, okay? Now, Emu in the concept here, a lot of people have thrown out many theories and ideas, alright? Some people basically theorize that Emu could have a representation of the sea itself, especially since you spell Emu backwards, you get Umi, which means sea, okay? And then there's the whole idea of, you know, how Emu himself basically seems to despise the D's, right? Like, Lily in the concept here of trying to basically wipe out any existence of the D's themselves or anyone who even viewed the Joy Boy or any of them as, like, heroes, okay? It's just, like, literally just trying to erase anything that they can get their hands on, okay? So, in the concept here of how Mother Carey is someone who is like a harbinger of storms, maybe we can basically view the concept here of Emu himself being the Mother Carey, right? Some people have actually theorized and basically stated that Emu probably stole the original body of Bibi himself. Not Bibi, but I'm sorry, Lily, okay? And what if the concept here of, say, like, Lily is the Mother Carey, right? What if she is the central figure for Mother Carey, right? The concept here of, say, like, Joy Boy, and some people have actually sort of, like, come into concept that Joy Boy himself is Davy D. Jones, right? Now, sure, it could be possible that they're two separate characters, but just for the sake of argument, let's say they are the same character, okay? Would that be in the same vein of Mother Carey herself? Could Mother Carey actually be Lily, right? Could Lily have actually been Mother Carey? It's hard to know for sure. There's no real evidence to actually support that. But it is something to basically argue and suggest just for the context of it, okay? Alright, let's move on to something else, okay? So, together both Mother Carey and Davy Jones are a fearsome couple responsible for storms and shipwrecks, as described in the poem by Mother Carey by John Mason Field in his collection Saltwater Ballads. In the Seaman's Manual, the term Mother Carey's children is defined as a name given by English sailors to birds which they are forerunners of a storm. In the book Woodland Tales, Mother Carey is a Mother Nature-like figure, alright? Let's actually discuss something here, right? Something that I figured could be really interesting to go over, okay? So, let's start off with this, right? In the statement of what I just read, the part of Mother Carey and Davy Jones are a fearsome couple responsible for storms and shipwrecks, okay? Remember when Vegapunk was giving the whole message to the Straw Hats that were in the Labo phase with him at the time, okay? He basically was going over the Delph Fruits and basically explaining how they represent the desires of human emotions, wanting to obtain something they'd never had before, right? Or something they could never achieve, okay? Then you get the part where he basically points out that, you know, these Delph Fruits are loathed by the sea themselves, okay? And, you know, this could actually make a lot of sense. No, I'm serious, right? This could actually make a lot of sense, okay? So just hear me out on this, okay? So, if Mother Carey and Davy Jones are two figures who are responsible for causing shipwrecks, okay? Like, literally, in the concept here, Mother Carey would basically be the weather of the storm herself, okay? She's basically the weather or the deadly storm that basically sinks the ships, causing the sailors to sink to the sea. Well, Davy Jones would basically be the sea itself, or in the easier concept to understand here, the prison beneath the sea. His locker is basically the prison that keeps them trapped, unable to get back to the surface, okay? Now, think of it in the concept of this, right? If basically Delph Fruits, that anyone who eats a Delph Fruit automatically sinks to the bottom of the ocean, right? You're basically like a hammer, you will sink to the bottom of the ocean, okay? Mother Carey herself might actually despise these Delph Fruits because it's meddling in on her domain, her territory, right? Her responsibility, okay? I mean, sure, she can still summon a storm to sink the ships and everything, but at the same time, it also seems kind of like pointless if the human is just going to sink automatically because of the Delph Fruit, right? It almost feels kind of like, it really does feel kind of like an insulting acquaintance here. Like I'm not exactly sure if I'm using the correct word there, but I'm sure you guys get the picture of what I'm stating, okay? So, Mother Carey, right? Her being the idea of the storm that is supposed to basically summon them to wipe out the ships, to cause them to sink. And then you have this whole notion of these Delph Fruits, which will automatically make humans sink to the bottom of the ocean, regardless of the storms or not, okay? So it's like, in the vein here, she's only there to basically summon the storm to wreck the ships. However, at the same time, you probably think, well, what's the big deal, okay? Well, think of it this way, right? Oda has shown us that there were plenty of capable characters who can actually swim through those One Piece waters, right? Sure, they are very deadly waters, right? You have intense storms throughout the entire world of the ocean and stuff like that, like deadly storms that come in place here, but you also have like a very mysterious calm belt filled with sea beasts and all that, sea kings and all that kind of stuff, okay? And Oda has proven to us that there are capable people of actually swimming through those waters, right? Specifically, Rayleigh himself, okay? Yes, Silver's Rayleigh, okay? Literally, right? If someone of his age could literally swim through those waters, imagine how it could have actually been nearly 800 years ago, or even longer than that, of people who could have been capable of actually swimming through those waters, especially through the whole general concept of the what's out there in the ocean, right? With all those sea kings inside that, all those deadly weathers, deadly intense weathers out there, and yet you can actually have capable people swim through those climates, okay? Then you could probably get the idea here and understand why Mother Carey could actually feel despised by that, okay? Because these devil fruits obviously make the humans sink automatically. Even if she does summon the storm, it does seem kind of like an insult to her position, to her job. Then an argument here, I could probably get that, okay? I can really get the idea and understanding on why exactly Mother Carey could actually be the Mother Nature figure in the One Piece world, right? It could be possible that the Mother Nature of the sea, her name could be figured as Mother Carey, okay? To me, that would seem like the most logical answer to go, and it does make a little bit more sense to provide, okay? Alright. Okay. Alright. So, here's another notion to go, right? Let's look at a character who could possibly, maybe someone who could actually represent Mother Carey, right? Someone who could actually be, maybe Mother Carey, but whether or not it could actually be true is all up to how Oda could take it out, okay? How Oda could actually utilize it, okay? Let's look at Nami, okay? I feel like Nami could be a very good indication here of someone who could be a Mother Carey-like figure, right? Someone who could possibly be an inspiration for a Mother Carey down the line, okay? Alright, so where exactly do I want to get off on this, okay? So, we know for the concept here, what I mentioned, that Mother Carey is a harbinger of storms, okay? Could we look at the vein here that Mother Carey, in the concept of the One Piece world, right? In the One Piece world, the fact that Davy Jones himself, or Davy D. Jones, was revealed to be a pirate, okay? Could Mother Carey be in the same vein of how Nami was to Luffy, okay? Could she have been like the navigator of the Straw Hat crew? The navigator of the Davy crew, okay? The Davy crew, okay? We don't know that for sure, but it is something to suggest as a reasonable solution or possibility, okay? And the fact here that when you look at Nami herself, her whole tie is to the weather itself, okay? And her mysterious ability to actually predict weather better than anyone else, right? Sometimes even better than what an actual... be honest, like, sometimes it feels like she can predict the weather better than a person can if they had the Delphi power to predict the weather, okay? I mean, that's never actually occurred before, but it just kind of feels that way, right? Like, seriously, have anyone ever got the feeling that when you're, even if it's not Nami, right? Even if it's another random character, has anyone ever got the feeling that they're doing something better, based on their own merit abilities, better than what the actual superpower could actually do? I mean, I don't know if anyone else has ever got that feeling, but sometimes I kind of get that feeling, okay? And Nami herself, who is even referred to as the Weather Queen, okay? And then you look at the idea here of this Weather Queen herself, and the idea how she utilizes like different weathers and abilities, right? And the fact that she even has Zeus, a homie cloud that is able to utilize and help Nami with her attacks, okay? An actual thundercloud to insist on her attacks, okay? Then you look at how the notion here of how Oda has shown to us that Nami is literally capable of predicting or like sort of like sensing the weather itself, right? Like literally being a forerunner of a storm, okay? Like it's basically stated that those who carry the D will always bring a storm, okay? And even in the concept here, you know, Luffy himself with Nami is a very good indication of someone who could literally help with that. So, in logical sense, I could say that it would be a very reasonable idea to actually suggest that maybe it could be possible with Mother Carey, if she is real, if she does exist in the One Piece world, she could have actually been the navigator to Davy Jones, right? Even if it's not a navigator, maybe it's something else, or maybe she could have had a different position, okay? But just for the sake of argument, let's just stick to one position, and let's stick to the same one that Nami got, because it might be a little bit more reasonable, okay? And especially when you look at the word harbinger, where you understand the word harbinger, harbinger basically means someone who is someone who foreshadows or foresees a certain event. Okay, someone who basically warns of an upcoming outcome of something. Okay, so basically, basically like a foreshadowing, a forecoming, stuff like that. Okay, that's basically what a harbinger is. Okay, and the idea here of how Mother Carey and the harbinger actually comes into play is with her chickens. Okay, Mother Carey's chickens. Okay, so let's move into that next. Okay, all right. So Mother Carey's chickens. Okay, let's go on that. Okay, even though they're called Mother Carey's chickens like that, they are actually basically stated to actually be storm petrels and stuff like that, and another one would be giant petrels. Okay, all right. So, storm petrels, thought by sailors to be the souls of dead seamen, are called Mother Carey's chickens, and giant petrels are known as Mother Carey's geese, okay? Let's start off with this, okay? Interesting enough, in chapter 1159, I believe. I hope I'm not getting the wrong chapter, okay? But chapter 1159, Oda did have Big News Morgans appear in the chapter, okay? Big News Morgans was the one who actually laid out the whole news to all the other pirates, especially the Rocks pirates, and let them know about what actually occurred of Shaki actually being kidnapped, okay? Here's the interesting thing here is that Morgans himself, his Delfruit is actually, okay, what was it again? An albatross, right? His Delfruit is actually an albatross, okay? Did you know that albatrosses are actually seabirds that are actually closely related to petrels themselves, okay? So, right. So look into consideration here, like that. Let's look at the a bird species family order called Procellariiformes. I do apologize if I mispronounce that, okay? And I'll have the word just right up here and stuff like that so you can read it, okay? Is an order of seabirds that comprises of 4 families. These include Diomediae, which includes the albatrosses, the Oceanitidae, austral storm petrels, Hydrobatidae, northern storm petrels, and Procellariidae, shearwaters, prions, and others. The largest in the family would be giant petrels, okay? So albatrosses are actually closely related to petrels in a sense here, right? They are basically seabirds, and they are mostly closely related, okay? The fact here that Oda actually had, Morgans himself with the albatross fruit, and yet he was basically the one to actually basically lay out the information. He was basically the one who actually really spread out the information to get it out there, okay? Now, yes, a lot of people have actually pointed out like that due to the fact that Ginny herself, right, was the one who actually sort of relayed the mission to Morgans, and the fact that Morgans was the one that put it out there, or you get an idea of, maybe Oda is utilizing something here, okay? What if it's possible, because Mother Carey herself has the whole idea of, like, the chickens themselves, what if it's in the concept here of Morgans is actually Mother Carey, right? What if Big News Morgans is the actual Mother Carey, okay? That would be a weird thing to go over. That would be a pretty weird thing, but I mean, who knows, right? I'm not exactly sure that's what Oda's going to do, but it would be a pretty awkward thing. But yeah, that's just something to really just throw in there for a sake of conversation, okay? Alright. And then last thing to go over is basically this, okay? So the last thing I officially want to discuss is this, okay? So another possibility on what we could assume by is if Mother Carey could actually be a Delfruit itself, okay? Could Mother Carey be a Delfruit, okay? And could it be possible that it's the same Delfruit that Dragon ate, okay? It does seem most likely, and it hasn't been officially confirmed yet, but we're probably going to assume that when Dragon actually places Shanks in the treasure chest to save him when he's eventually found by Roger, could it be possible that he actually ate the Delfruit in that chest? And could the Delfruit have actually been Mother Carey, okay? Could Mother Carey, or the fact of someone who could usually summon in some of the storms, like someone who can actually control the storms in general, right? Could that be something to look at, okay? Really, it's hard to assume anything, okay? It's really, it would be a very interesting concept and a very interesting thing to basically detail because of that. But in concept here, it is hard to, it's just hard to assume, right? It's hard to actually predict on that whole notion here. But going over the concept of everything that I basically mentioned, if Oda himself, and we've actually seen how Oda, when it comes to it, Oda doesn't just utilize real-world connections only, right? Even in the One Piece world, he goes through, real-world events, like real-world characters, even fictional, almost like that. He goes through different things, okay? And he always looks at different possibilities and always makes it a very unique story. And he always makes sure to tell it in his own way. That's not necessarily, basically like insulting the other stories, or he's more like, it's kind of like more he's like complimenting it, but at the same time he's also trying to direct it in a better way that he sees fit. And it's a very respectful thing when authors do that, when they basically follow their own stories and they also take inspiration and they're basically seeing a unique pattern, okay? So in the concept here, while we don't have any official confirmation that Mother Carey could actually exist, and who knows, like, to be honest here, like, this whole video could be completely pointless because it might even be possible that Mother Carey, that Oda himself never even heard of Mother Carey, okay? I mean, there have been times, I'm pretty sure, that people have actually asked Oda, it's like, hey Oda, did you know about this and this? And I'm sure Oda's responded like, oh, I did not know that. Huh. I wish I knew that sooner. So, who knows, maybe if Oda sees this video, it's like that, he'll literally think like, Mother Carey? I didn't know that. I gotta add her to the story. Oda, you could have get in the comment section and say thank you. Okay. But look, the point is, I came across Mother Carey, and when really looking into her and really understanding who she was, I thought to myself, you know what, there is a lot of things that are very interesting thing for the story of One Piece here, right? Something to really not just ignore, okay? So look. That will do it, okay? That's everything I have for this video, okay? That's everything I want to discuss. There's probably more, but I think that will do, okay? Alright. So once again, thank you so much for this video on this topic on Mother Carey, and the whole idea of like, could she actually be representation of the One Piece role? Right? Could someone actually represent her? Right? Could Oda utilize her? Right? Could Oda even know who she is? Right? Do you know who she is? Right? If you guys knew who she was, why didn't you tell me before I had to go through the whole trouble of like searching her up? Okay? Seriously, right? Okay. So thank you so much. I'm glad you had a great time, and I hope you enjoyed the video, okay? If you liked the video and you enjoyed it, please smash that like button, right? If you feel like the video needs to be shared and people need to know more about Mother Carey, especially if they are One Piece fans, then please share the video, right? I don't care if you have to literally go over to their house, knock on their door, or say, dude, wait, seriously, you gotta watch this video, right? Alright, please don't actually do that, alright? That's just rude. And subscribe to the channel. I'll try and get another video out as soon as I can, like that. But I'm glad you had a great time, okay? And hit those bells, because that bells is what leads to, you know, getting notifications, okay? I mean, sure, it's not a bell that I can just, like, hold in my hand and just, like, ding-a-ling, 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 ding. But hey, it's better than nothing, right? No bell is better than nothing. And you got a bell right there, okay? Alright, that will do it. I'm just basically talking at this point, alright? So, I'm glad you all had a great time. Once again, have a good day. Bye, everybody.